Very useful counters, my second edition. And this time I made a complete deck version. Maybe it can spark your interest in a new deck. I used the deck that got my second account to 9000 because it is very versatile. It is strong in defense. It has multiple options against air attacks. It is powerful in offense, especially if you have these evolutions. It only needs a good short name, as every well-known deck has. I think the MK Hognado sounds very pleasant. Maybe you have a good suggestion, but please don't come with the Hog Crack Knight or the Mega Crack Ball. That's terrible. Anyways, let's start with a video, which is in chapters again, so you can find the ones that are useful for you more easily. But I do hope you'll watch the entire video. Maybe you'll find some interesting things for you in it. Let's go. The guards are perfect for positive elixir trades, because the shields defends them from heavy damage. It can defend them against the rocket, and it can even absorb the big blast of the Sparky. And when the shields are gone, the skeletons and the tower will finish off this electrical beast. But there's a more effective way to counter the Sparky, and that's by surrounding him. It leaves the skeletons unharmed. This positioning can also be done by the hunter and the musketeer, but even the skeletons can do this, so I will only show you the ones that only the guards are capable of doing. The bowler and a cannon cart can both be countered by surrounding them. Both cards are 5 elixir, so the trade is more than acceptable. The next two examples are also 5 elixir each, the witch and the wizard, WW. Countering them will also give you a 2 elixir trade. This surrounding positioning can be done with the next cards: Dark Prince, Mini Pekka, Prince, All Wizards, Executioner, Hunter, Magic Archer, Musketeer, Sparky, Archers, Royal Ghost, Lumberjack, Mighty Miner, Cannon Cart and the Bowler. But wait, there's more. If you're facing a battle ram, you'll just deploy the guards in its way. You have to do this quick enough, otherwise one of the barbarians will connect to your tower. When your opponent throws you a goblin barrel, make sure to release your guards just before its shadow hits the river. You've got to be very quick, but only then you will counter the goblin barrel completely. Let's get to more counters with big elixir trades. First, the rascals. Try to take out the shooters first and time the positioning like this, so the biggest rascal will walk back and doesn't connect to the tower. This can also be done with the little prince if he activated his ability at the bridge. I'll increase the speed for this one a little. Positioning the guards high to the middle will draw in the Pekka, which also allows the tower to get some extra shots in. If you're facing the Mega Knight, you can only counter him completely when you use the Cannoneer. You have to use the surrounding positioning again, and then you will have a massive gain in elixir. You can almost completely counter the graveyard, and because they use the longer spears, they can clear the skeletons from a small distance. In this way, the skeletons aren't able to get near the guards. This unique ability can also be used against the Valkyrie. The guards' spears are a bit longer than the Valkyrie's axe. So if the Valkyrie connected to your tower, you can take advantage of the spear length and defend it. Another way to put the guards to use is as a distraction to flying units. This can also be done with the Mega Minion and the Flying Machine, and all the examples are a perfect way to receive some elixir. To the last example of the guards, if you are facing the X-Bow, the guards are a perfect way to reply. Their shields will absorb a lot of damage and their high DPS will finish the X-Bow. So this is a perfect bridge to the next card. And that card is the Hogrider. And since the Hog can't really counter a lot of cards, I would like to show some combos. The X-Bow rarely comes alone, but if he can deploy the Tesla, we can deploy the Hog. With the shields of the guards absorbing all the damage, the high DPS of the guards and the Hog will finish the job. This defensive combo was done with fewer elixir, and we got an attacking Hog as a counter. Win-win. The same combination can also be used if your opponent counters your Hog attack with the Inferno Tower or the Tesla. Although both units are bad positioned in this example, this attack will work if they are deeper positioned as well. This combination will work too if your enemy's counter is the Fisherman. And on a quick side note, I recreated this situation to show you that the Fisherman isn't able to pull the Hog in. A normal player would never utilize the Fisherman in this situation. And if your opponent uses another King Tower activations card, the Tornado, you can use the combination with the bats. I'll position both cards in a corner, and in this way he can never use his Tornado without receiving damage. If your opponent's counter is a building, you can use the Fireball as a backup. This attack uses a lot of elixir, so if this exchange happens more than once, your opponent ends up with a huge advantage. Another way to use the Hog is as a distraction for flying objects. I don't like to use my Hog for this kind of situations, but as a last resort it can be very helpful. You can use this against more flying troops like the Inferno Dragon, the Phoenix, the Flying Machine and the Skeleton Dragon. Let's go to the next card. The Mini Pekka, a very high damaging beast with a whopping 1050 striking damage at level 15, so he's able to one-hit lots of troops. The Musketeer, the Ice Wizard, the Magic Archer, the Electro Wizard and the 5 Elixir Wizard. So a great addition in your deck to all kinds of defenses, especially against the high hit point troops. Against the Giant, the Mega Knight, Giant Skeleton, Electro Giant, Goblin Giant, Rascals, Golem, but also against the Archer Queen, Cannon God and the Bowler. And if you're facing the Battle Ram, position the Mini Pekka in the middle, right in its way. After its first strike, the Battle Ram will take him along, so he's in the right position to finish them off. This can also be done against the Ram Rider and the Hogrider. You just have to make sure to time it quick enough, otherwise they will connect to the tower for one hit. If you're facing a miner, this corner positioning will completely cover this purple area. You have a 50% chance of getting it right, but if your opponent uses the same placement over and over, this trick can be useful. And if your opponent is very predictable with his little prince and uses its ability at the bridge, just delay the placement and this attack gets eliminated. The guards in front of the Mini Pekka is a great way to take out an Inferno Tower to clear the path for the Hog. And the combination with the Tornado is also very useful to remove potential danger. That's it, let's switch to the next. The Fireball. This will be a quick chapter. A spell that I like in my deck because it can hurt multiple air and ground troops at once. It can inflict a knockback, which is handy against the balloon. It's an equal trade against the Elixir Collector. It can finish a lot of troops at once, but I can think of only two that give you a positive Elixir trade. The Barbarians and the Minion Horde. But it's always good to know which cards can be killed at once. Cards like the Mother Witch, the Skeleton Dragons, the Magic Archer, the Ice Wizard, the Seppies are all killed instantaneously, just like the Flying Machine. If it's set up from the back, I'm always taking this opportunity. There are also a lot of cards that barely survive after a fireball hit, like the Electro Wizard, Bandit, Wizard, Musketeer, Mega Minion, Hunter, Night Witch, which, if I get the opportunity to hit multiple troops simultaneously, I'm taking the shot, because with a little help of the guards, I still end up with more elixir than the opponent. One last tip, if you can finish the tower, always aim at the nearest bottom corner. The small difference in impact time might someday help you finish first. That's all. Next. The Mega Knight, a very strong troop who can function as a tank, who can be used for his splash damage, his jump attack and his spawn attack, like this. But did you know that his jump damage is higher than his spawn damage? I have a nice example with the Mother Witch, because her health is exactly in between the difference in damage. The spawn of the MK doesn't kill her at once, while the jump does it straight away. So sometimes it can be more useful to set up the MK from the back instead of using it as a spawn surprise. But the downside from this is that you can't control the attacking area as much as with the spawn attack, like this example with the Barbarians, which is also relevant against the Royal Hogs. The MK will jump an enemy if he is between 3.5 and 5 tiles away, so he's also able to jump over the river, which is very handy against the X-Bow. The combination with the bats is very strong against them. This counter is done with 1 elixir less, so pretty good. And it also works if the Tesla is installed quick enough, like this example. Just wait with the deployment of the bats till the Tesla is locked on the Mega Knight. Of course, this setup is in ideal circumstances. The opponent might have a Zap ready or a Knight, but for the same elixir we can deploy the gods as well. Needless to say, you can also jump the mortar, but that won't benefit us. The mortar will lock to a tower, which results in unnecessary damage. You can better use the Mega Knight as a tank and let the bats finish the mortar. But in a rare occasion, you can use your enemy's buildings and troops as a quick method to reach the enemy's tower. But the circumstances have to be perfect, and it doesn't present itself this way that often. But still it's satisfying. Most counters of the MK aren't positive elixir trades, so I won't show best timing and positioning against the Battle Ram, or the Skeleton Barrel, or the Rascals, or the Little Prince that uses its ability, or the Elite Barbarians, or the Goblin Barrel, or the Witch. That would make this video unnecessarily long. So I would like to close with 2 combos and a playstyle tip. If you constantly get stuck on the Inferno Tower, you can use the bats in front of the Mega Knight. It is a lot of elixir, but if the game is reaching the end, it can be useful. Another very strong defensive combination is using the Mega Knight as a tank, the Tornado to round them up and the Firecracker to do all the damage. That brings us to my last suggestion. If you encounter Lava Hound or Golem players, try to do a direct and hard counter. MK at the front, bats as wingmen, no pun intended, and usually they don't have a very strong response for that. They either spend a lot of elixir to counter you, or they will let it loose and you have the tower. And we got the mini Pekka and the gods as a strong defensive measure against the golem available. That's it, on to the next. The bats. Let's start right away with the counters, no time to lose. Just like the skeletons and the guards, surrounding positioning only. Cards with the ability to target air troops like the Ice Wizard, the Hunter, the Electro Wizard, the Executioner and the Musketeer will be countered easily, which is very effective for your elixir bar. If a single Night Witch is approaching, let the tower deal with her bats and deploy the bats around the Night Witch. The next non-air targeting ground troops can be counted as well. The Bowler, the Bandit, the Valkyrie, the Mini Pekka can be counted one-on-one if you release your bats high at the bridge and as soon as possible. And this works too with flying troops like the Mega Minion, the Flying Machine, the Inferno Dragon and the Phoenix. You can counter the minions too, but the top middle placement is slightly better than the surrounding positioning, because some bats will survive for a potential counter attack. But you need a support troop for that, because the health of the bats is too low for a single push. Unless you face the Cannoneer. You will get some chip damage done against that tower troop. The bats are able to counter the graveyard, but if your opponent has a spell at hand, please be aware of it and always have a second card available in case the opponent uses it. And the evolved bats is a very good addition to your evo slots in your deck. They will survive a giant snowball, sap and a rage drop of a lumberjack if the bats were able to get some attacks in first, because that will increase their health bar. This also means they will survive the death damage of the golem and the skeleton barrel, so they are a very cheap and strong defensive addition to your deck. The regenerating ability can sometimes keep them alive for a very long time, as you can see in this satisfying clip, which is the last footage in this chapter. The Firecracker. This card certainly is in the top 3 of my favorite cards. Low in cost, high in damage and deployable against air and ground troops. A multi-tool in Clash Royale. Its ability to recoil 1.5 tiles after each shot makes it perfect for positive elixir trades. So let me start with some low elixir counters, the wall breakers. Because of the speed of the wall breakers and the arch trajectory of the fireworks, you can't stop them in this way. But if you time it quickly and position it near the bridge, the close positioning will stop them completely. It costs 1 elixir more, but the Firecracker is still alive for a potential counter attack. In a lone bandit attack, you can release the Firecracker in this position when the bandit reaches the end of the bridge. The recoil is just enough to outreach the dash, but it requires good timing and it can be risky. There is a great way to deal with goblin barrels. If the shadow of the barrel gets between these two lines, you should release the Firecracker in this position. If the goblin barrel is placed around the tower, it will do a small amount of damage, but other positionings like in the next split screen will be countered completely. This one also requires a lot of timing, but it's nice to know you have multiple options in your deck to counter them. The next 4 elixir ground troops can be countered completely if you position the Firecracker in the middle of the arena like this. This positioning is also usable against other slow moving big units like the Pekka and the Bowler. Both units are very slow, so it's easy to pull this off. You will gain 2 elixir from the Bowler and 3 elixir from the Pekka. The risk is higher with the giant skeleton because of the death bomb radius. I've seen videos of the giant skeleton and the Mega Knight where they pull it off to get a King Tower activation, but nowadays I think it's impossible to do. Flying troops can be countered as well, and needless to say, the minions, the minion horde, the Mega Minion and the bats can be countered as well. And if your opponent throws you a freebie like this, you should always make use of it. In a one-on-one battle, the Firecracker is able to counter them completely and you will do some chip damage on the tower as a bonus. That's it for the counters. I would like to end with one utilization tip. Try to use the Firecracker as much as an Overseer, a backup to any troop, because that's one of the strongest ways to take advantage of its power. Especially when you have the evolution version in your deck, because if the regular Firecracker wasn't overpowered enough, this evil version is completely over the top. And I'm very happy with that. That's it for the Firecrackers. Let's quickly go to the next. The Tornado. In my opinion, the most versatile spell in Clash Royale. Not only for its ability to activate the King Tower, which you always have to use as soon as possible, but for a lot of other reasons. I made a video about all the Tornado's possibilities. I'll put the link in the top corner right now, but I'll show a couple of them in this video too. Like the pullback for extra troop and tower damage. A very powerful and cheap play that can be pulled off with this deck. Especially when you just need some extra damage to win the game. but it's also very powerful in combination with the dagger dodges. In my opinion, the best tower troop right now. Just drag it to the middle to make use of the other tower's daggers. If you need help with best positioning for King Tower activations, you can watch this video of mine. It was one of my first videos. I still have the game settings in my native language, so please ignore that. Almost every player will try to get a King Tower activation of the Firecracker too, so try to have your tornado ready. And with some good timing, you can prevent a King Tower activation. Where I also like to use my tornado for is to get more value out of my evolved troops, like the Evo Firecracker in this example. Rounding up and pulling back, destroying multiple troops and getting extra tower damage. What else do you want? And not only in offense, but also defensively, it's a nice way to get full potential out of the evolved bats as well. So as I said before, the most unique and versatile spell in Clash Royale. It can let you concentrate multiple enemies to take them all out simultaneously. Another useful trick is to drag distant shooters out of reach. And I have another one. It can let you reposition your enemy to attack them and get collateral tower damage. But there are way more possibilities. It can realign opponents with the tower for the Firecracker. It can redirect enemies to the lane of your strongest tower. It can scatter or split a potentially dangerous attack. It can pull distant shooters close to your Mega Knight. It can clear the path of skeletons or evolved skeletons for the Hog or the mini Pekka. And as any other spell, it can damage the tower. So there are a lot of ways to utilize the tornado. If I were you, I would watch my video. But you can decide for yourself. That's it. That was all. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for all the support and please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you back in my future videos. Thank you for watching.